Have you ever spoken to your friends about the news, for example? And do you catch yourself sometimes just repeating the same headlines you read a couple of hours before? Orwell here wants you to think and speak for yourself and not repeat the things that you've already read. For example, the Allies have an opportunity to achieve a radical transformation in Germany. The writer of this sentence, which Orwell read in a newspaper at the time, believed he had something new to say about World War II. He wanted to shine a light on what was happening for his readers. But Orwell here is saying, if you have something new to say it in a new way. Radical transformation. That's crazy. It's a crazy way of describing something. We hear this phrase a lot today as well. And because we've heard it so much, the meaning, the craziness implied is numbed down. You don't really understand what that truly means anymore. Orwell here is saying we need something new. You, when you are writing and speaking, should use something new. Something you have thought of. Orwell wants us to think for ourselves when we speak and when we write, and not simply copy something that we think sounds interesting. Rule 1. Never use a figure of speech which you are used to seeing in print. Have you ever written something or said something with more words than you needed to, just to make up a word count, for example, or just to fill a silence? Orwell uses this example. In my opinion, it is a not unjustifiable assumption that, why don't we say instead, Orwell says, I think. Orwell wants us to be simple and precise. Rules 2 and 3. Never use a long word when a short one will do, and if it's possible to cut a word out, always cut it out. 4. Never use the passive where you can use the active voice. Well, the passive voice is simply this. It is when the subject of a sentence is having something done to it by something or someone else. For example, the dog is being washed by the girl. The dog is the subject and the washing is being done by the girl. Passive voice. The active voice is when the subject is performing the act itself. The girl is washing the dog. The girl is the subject and she is performing the act of washing. Orwell is saying here to use the active voice over the passive voice because it's more exciting and more intriguing. Rule 4. Never use the passive voice where you can use the active voice. Rule 5. Have you ever wanted to use a word because it sounds cool, it sounds intelligent, rather than just a simpler everyday alternative? Orwell says to always use the everyday alternative. It is simpler and easier to understand. So for example, instead of using the word anthropomorphic, just use the word personified. Rule number 5. Never use a complex word when you can think of an everyday alternative. Orwell ends. If one can follow these guidelines, he will be able to think more clearly, and to think more clearly is the first step toward political regeneration.